Good God Almighty. All right, what do we got there? I see Jordan O right there. Lol, it's slowed down Garfunkel. That's not Simon and Garfunkel, nigga. It's fucking. Oh yeah, were you not here when we had the intro? All right, so it's chapter 61. So this is indeed not Simon and Garfunkel. That's a group called the Flamingos, and I think I only have eyes for you. It was their only real hit. I can't believe we're almost at page 450. So that's not nothing. It's definitely part of something right there. All right, hold on. Let me adjust this microphone. Where the fuck my level at? Hell yeah. Open a browser. Oh, did Garfunkel do a cover of I Only Have Eyes for You? Wild. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck he's doing there. He does not have that Motown voice to really carry that out. Ugh. All right. So I got up early in the morning because it's like a hokey fucking chapter, and I don't want people lolling at me. So I'm glad it's just you here, Jordan. I think you're the least likely of the regular viewers on this stream to loll at me for having some real reachy shit. In all honesty, what's up with this coffee? All right, so this bills itself as mocha with a slash of coconut milk. There's no sugar in it, and it's dairy-free. What do you get when you mix organic coffee, organic cocoa, and organic coconut milk? I don't fucking know exactly what you would call that. Hold on, let's find out if it's any good. Oh, it's big spathy one. He says mocha nut and moco nut. It's not without its charms. Yeah, this Wandering Bear, I gotta say, I've tried both of these, and they're okay. I think today I'm gonna drop the bomb and just buy my own fucking coffee making get up. And I'm gonna buy some. I'm literally gonna drop like $1,000 on it. Oh God. Oh, I know I'm gonna regret it, but you know, just I get a fucking idea in my mind. I'm like, what if I did this and this and that and that and the other thing and everything, and get that idea going, and then I got to make it so. So yeah, like having a pretty good time of it. Yesterday, I was completely fucking useless to celebrate Dr. King. I played a bunch of League of Legends, fucking edited for like an hour and a half on this thing, and did nothing else of consequence other than eating Taco Bell. Thus my swift decision that it's time to go on a fucking diet, man. I must have eaten like 50 of them fucking burritos. And yeah, it's just one of those things you'll sometimes do if it's like the winter and you're like, I don't want to go outside. I don't want to do fucking anything except eat Taco Bell and fucking watch YouTube videos and play video games. And I guess you can have a day like that from time to time. I had done something every other night of the week. I had done something. So I feel it's okay to be a piece of shit in celebration of Dr. King. Ooh. Let's see. So today I'm going to have to deal with that laptop in India. They still will not cough it up. And despite my best efforts. And yeah, that's about the sum of it right here. What do we got here? I think we should have a poem, don't you? So yeah, I apologize in advance for this chapter, which I think is kind of hokey at the beginning, and we're going to have to do some real work to make it a good chapter. But at least we know that. So this is The Flowers of Evil by Charles Baudelaire. and this is entitled Dance of Death. Dance of Death. Proud of her height as if she were alive, she manages her props, her huge bouquet, her scarf, her gloves, all with the unconcern, or is it disdain, of practiced flirt. Whoever saw a wasp with a waist like that, or so many yards of gown so readily gathered up to show a wizened foot crammed into its crimson satin shoe? The frill that runs along her clavicle, as if a stream caressed the stones in its bed, demurely screens from idle scrutiny the deadly charms she will keep in the dark. Those shadows are the making us of her eyes, and the braid of buds around her nodding brow is not so neatly plaited as her spine. O lure of nothingness, so well tricked out. Drunk on flesh, young lovers livel you as a caricature. They cannot understand the beauty of your true embodiment. Skeleton, you suit me down to the ground. As grinning from ear to absent ear you come to spoil the feast, or cannot keep away because some hunger in the marrow of your bones compels you to our human carnival. Will music and the flaring lights beguile a mocking nightingale you cannot escape? Is it the torrent of orgies you require to douse the hellfire kindled in your heart? Inexhaustible pit of folly and sin, eternal alembic of ancient pain, threading the twisted trellis of your ribs, the insatiable worm I see is still at work. To tell the truth, I fear your coquetry will fail to find the victims it deserves. Which of these mortal hearts can take your jokes? The charms of dread are not for everyone. What visions cloud the chasm of your eyes? Even the bravest partner joins the dance with a twinge of terror as he contemplates the eternal smile of 32 white teeth. Yet who has not embraced a skeleton, not eaten what the grave claims for their own? What does the costume matter, or the scent? Disgusted, all you show is your conceit. Noseless camp follower, irresistible drab, disabuse these dancers of their airs. For all your skill with powder and with musk, each of you stinks to heaven or hell of death. A withered Antonius here, his emperor there, equally worm-eaten, hoary bells and bow, the universal throb of the dance of death drags you down to the whereabouts of unknown. From Senegal to the cold quays of the Seine, the mortal swarm jigs on, ecstatic, blind, to the angel's trumpet somewhere overhead, gaping like a blackened blunderbuss. Death in every latitude dotes on you and your contortions, ludicrous mankind, and often, like you, daubing herself with myrrh, mixes her scorn with your delirium. Damn. Okay. Driving me insane. All right. So we're here at chapter 61, and I don't think we can get away with. I think we have to rewrite this whole paragraph. I think we had a graphic design idea here. Gothic font, larger, bold, and centering. Okay. Mm-hmm. Hold on. Let me dog out here for a second and blow my damn nose. It's ridiculous. Yeah, if you're a man, congestion is what will eventually kill you. Oh, were you not here? Uh, we added. So this is all new to Jordan. No, he hasn't seen this stream in a while. So yeah, I added a dog for when I have to get up. Mm. Mm. So we actually want this to be scary. Uh, and what's our action here? Oh yeah. Okay. Rap, rap, rap. Hmm. Let me see. Ronnie Dubby says, "I can I call in? What do you mean I can't?" Now we mostly just do text here. I don't think having somebody call me up would be helpful for this editing stream. But yeah, feel free to leave any comments that you have in the chat. Yeah, I'm just trying to fix this broken. I woke up early today because I'm going to be kind of like frowning and scowling at this thing for a lot of the morning. We're trying to uh, let's see. Yeah, we're just trying to fix like this really hokey fucking chapter at the moment right here. Oh, there's big logic right there. Hmm. Let me see. 442 on the East Coast. Um, So there's Astro who says that 3 a.m. is the best time to try and solve the Jewish problem. What is that problem? That you can't make rent and your landlord's mad at you? What do we got here? 4:42 on the East Coast. Mm, mm. Yeah, what's not working here? Like, yeah, this is a fucking tough one. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to ignore lit chat for about 30 minutes while we fix this intro paragraph. Because I really gotta visualize what's happening here. I don't like that either. Yeah. That was a tree. Oh, that's junk. Mm-hmm. I know, right? But it's not. It's not scary at the moment. So we gotta fucking work on it there. Freya opened her eyes and froze. There was a face outside of her bedroom window, 15 feet from the ground. Mm-hmm. No, good idea. So at 4:42 in the morning in Maine, this would be about November. Let's say it's the 25th, 2029. So it's not dawn until 6 a.m. So I don't know what the phase of the moon is right there, but yeah, I would really do myself a big favor if I like stopped here and got my days straight, um, which I should have been doing all along. We intended to do it, but I was just lazy about it. Freya opened her eyes and froze. Mm-hmm. So what lights? She doesn't have any lights on in her room. Uh, There was a face outside of her bedroom window. Mm-hmm. So I got George Washington right there saying, "How was my day?" Um, yeah, well, the day's only begun. There's no telling what'll happen. Yeah, so it would be dark enough where they're at. Like they don't, there aren't like street lamps out there, or they're all along a road that is just totally dark, and there aren't like neighbors' houses within eyeshot. Eyeshot is a weird sounding thing. So, uh, so Freya is on the. That's too much. No, you can't put that much detail. No, so people are asking, what do I think about the Virginia rally? Uh, Let me see. So I'm not super well informed on it. I think. Uh, Let me see. What was the new? So I know that it's in response to new Virginia gun revelations. They're expected to push for stricter gun control laws. Okay, so have they actually proposed? So the Attorney General, new gun laws are going to be enforced. Universal background checks, one gun per month law, and a red flag law. Okay. Yeah, as long as they have exemptions in the one gun per month law for people who need more than one gun, such as people actively trying to overthrow the United States government or target shooters or whatever they're. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, you can have a rally. Like, what part of that is against the Second Amendment right there? I think universal background checks are fine. I think red flag laws are okay. Like, there's definitely people out there that shouldn't have that shit. But I don't see any like specific restrictions on what type of guns you can have, or bump stocks, or cop killing rounds, or depleted uranium rounds, or body armor, or shit like that. So, wait, is Bernie pro gun? Yeah, well, super mod. So consequences. I think every
showdown
man
outside the Capitol building in Richmond.
here's
Pro-gun
my view
groups
on gun violence. I think
putting
every
pressure
man
on Virginia lawmakers.
fighting age should be required to either be a part of a militia and be trained to fire a military weapon
Also putting the
and
pressure
keep on hand for
lawmakers.
civil defense.
DC Mayor Muriel Bowser
Like
and members of
essentially,
her
I think that every
administration, they
man
continue
of
to
fighting
place
age
some of the blame
should
on
have to
Virginia
have
for
an
DC's
M16
stubbornly
and be
high
ready to
murder
fire
rate.
it and drill at least monthly
An issue discussed
and
at length by city leaders
qualify
at a
on a
forum
range.
hosted by Mayor Bowser
And I think we should have
Monday
civil
night.
structures to
Deputy
make this
Mayor for
happen. And I
Public
think
Safety, Kevin
this extends
Donahue.
also
guns
to
that come
hold on
into
a second.
DC illegally come from Virginia.
41%, according to Mayor Bowser, pointing to
there's a sound
statistics
in the
from
back.
the
Hold on.
feds. In
Has
a
there been
letter
like a
to
weird
leaders of
sound
the
this whole time?
Commonwealth,
Hold on, let me
Mayor
check
Bowser said at one time D.C. was caught in the crossfire, with guns flowing in at the same rate from Maryland and Virginia.
Do something about guns coming out of Virginia that are killing D.C. residents.
Mayor Bowser says in the last 8 years, with tougher gun laws.
Yeah, weird. Huh. Okay, weird. Yeah, for some reason, I think the Mac microphone was on, so that might have sounded weird as fuck. Let me see. Auto. No, I don't think my browser is playing audio over the stream. Yeah, there was just something weird. That was, God, how long was that like that? That's fucking weird. That could have been like that for like 100 shows or something like that, and I just never noticed. Whew. Or maybe it just redetected the Elgato or whatever. It sounded like a news clip, but super loud. Oh, you know what it fucking was? Yeah, it's this bullshit. Okay. Oh, I wanted to... Oh, no, I can't reopen that cloud. Luzu. I still want to check this guy out at some point there. Yeah, so that was the website that was there, and it was through our capture card. It was playing. Okay, yeah, it's just like one of those fucking autoplay news websites. That's really annoying. Newscast after some loud techno. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm glad that wasn't going on for like a long ass time, because that's some bullshit right there. So yeah, like my earnest belief is, so I have a lot of like Heinlein-esque sort of weirdly kind of libertarian positions. Like I think if you want to be able to vote in the United States of America, you should have to be a part of a militia. You should have to drill every month. You should have to be qualified and ready to fight in the event of an invasion of the homeland. And one of the reasons why I think that this should happen is so that we can hugely de-escalate our foreign commitments in terms of warfare, and hugely defund the military, and just make that a civil requirement for all people. I do think that it's worthwhile. As part of that process, I think there should be a relatively continuous period of psychological screening. I think the people in the militia should be responsible for finding the niggas that is crazy and getting them the help that they deserve. And I think that these should be like social clubs where people have a good time and they can go out and get fucking drunk with each other and their M16s. Yeah, and another part of that, and gun people will not like this, is I think handguns should be outlawed entirely. I think if you want to kill a man, it should have to be with a weapon that is like 4 feet long, with rifling and a bunch of shit hung off of the rails, flashlights and bayonets and shit like that. Yeah. I'm a true believer that that's the kind of meaningful gun control that could actually make a difference in the world, and everything else is just horse shit. Like it doesn't really matter if you outlaw bump stocks or fucking magazines that people can 3D print or whatever. That's the real solution to gun violence right there. And I don't see anybody really talking about like the real problems with gun violence, which is handguns. And like so many things are tied into that, like police brutality and just shooting everything that moves. That's all just handguns. They're afraid somebody has a handgun, so it drives them crazy. It's a lot harder to conceal a fucking shotgun or whatever. And you can have like relatively stringent rules about sawing off barrels and I'm talking about like any pistol type weapon that you can conceal under a coat, anything that's not a long gun, just outlaw that shit. And understand that it will take about a century for the majority of these weapons to be out of circulation. That's just how it works. And I think when we say outlaw, we mean that if you want to collect these weapons and they're not in a fucking museum, they have to be rendered inoperable. Like essentially, you would fill in the barrel with. See, there's ways to do it too, where you can just heat up the weapon, but essentially we'd have to find kind of a foolproof way to make the gun inoperable. And I understand that it's fun to target shoot guns and shit like that. It's just our society would be significantly better with the removal of the ability of somebody to just like pull out a strap and blast somebody. And I'm not talking, and I know that people will then be like, "Ooh, the knife crime! Oh God, the knives!" I get it, it's just a lot different than somebody like pulling out a strap and shooting your grandma for fucking nothing. So anyhow, yeah, that's what I think about the gun violence. I think I was pleased that nobody managed to like false flag attack anybody. Nobody got run over by a Mustang or anything this time around. And the news coverage nobody really seemed to give a shit as far as I could tell. So good. It's a fringe issue. It doesn't really matter. They're protesting in anticipation of stricter laws and they're actually putting in place. I don't think a lot of reasonable people can argue with any of those stipulations. And really, if you're buying more than one gun a month and you're not in a gun club, what are you doing? Like, what do you need all those guns for? Okay. People who put their commitment into organized militia is the best method against tyranny, especially given the voting method taking place with irresponsible voters. Yeah, I think so. I should really write a story about this, but I really believe in not just merit-based voting, but in merit-based legislation. I think before you can vote on a bill, you need to take a test that basically says, I understand the long-term ramifications of this bill. I think that nobody older than 65 should be able, I think 65 should be the mandatory retirement age for anything at all where you make decisions that affect other people. Like, I'm sorry, like once you're past 65, shouts to Sanders and Trump and all those people are too fucking old to make decisions. And when you're too old to make decisions, other people make the decisions for you. That's just how it works. These people are fucking ancient. Like, imagine Bernie Sanders trying to legislate on the fucking internet. Not going to happen. He doesn't understand what this shit is all about. So that needs to fucking change. I think we should have an IQ test to be a legislator. Absolutely. It should be hard. It should be as hard or harder to make laws in this country as it is to get into a good college. And like, this is not going to hold back the vast majority of people, but it's going to keep some particularly stupid people out of there, especially, and this is going to disproportionately affect people from red states because they're dumber. They've got less schooling. What do we got here? Well, the problem is then becomes what we have now. National Guard units were the original militias. They were federalized in World War II, so now they're just the armor. The gatekeeper is the government. Dildocrats don't care about future generation. They only care about their current terms and how far they can milk the state dry. I do think that it's very like easy to say get the money out of politics and etc. We have the technology to get all the fucking money out of college, of Congress, all the money out of everything. Literally, we're employing this technology right now in every police department in the United States worth a damn, and they're just body cameras. Like, I think with the outside of some very, very high level national security type things, like if you want to be a legislator and rule other people, you need to open yourself up to continuous public scrutiny. And I'm talking about 24/7. Like, I want a camera on this guy while he's taking a shit, while he's shagging his mistress, while he's eating his fucking cornflakes. I don't want any moment of the day where their communication isn't monitored, where they're not publicly viewable on a free feed that everybody can watch. And I think just having power over other people is something that we dole out too trivially, and we're not cognizant of the potential for abuse. And I do believe that absolute power corrupts absolutely. And one of the reasons why our system has endured for so long is this system of checks and balances, which are critical. And we have all this new technology that we could use to improve this system of checks and balances. And ultimately, the best, like all this corruption and shit is just mildew, and daylight is the cure for all of it. People being able to audit everything you do, being able to read all the emails that you have. And literally, you have a nation of nerds that will do this shit for free, like 4chan janitors of the United States Congress, of fucking the Senate, of everything down to like judge level decisions. It could all be opened up to public scrutiny anytime. I think what the next century is going to be is a lot of us giving up this idea of privacy almost entirely in exchange for security. And us, the changes that will result in our entire society as a result of that. My platform is that all politicians, you shouldn't even fucking have lobbyists. And once you no longer need to spend money to get elected, once it is like an arduous form of civil service, it might be that we just need to draft particular people into positions of power. And I'm like very aware of the idea that anybody who seeks power can't be entrusted with it. So that's a Heinlein idea right there. So California is an example of absurd spending on illegals and so forth. So I take a different view from the conservatives on this one. I think that we should welcome anybody who is trying to come to this country with open arms, but essentially, when you come in, I think that you have to do a period of indentured service where you're either doing some kind of civil construction work or serving in the military, which would be like vastly depleted, or doing some kind of other useful work. I think that English should be our state language, and that you shouldn't be allowed to become a citizen until you pass an English proficiency test. You do like the standard citizenship type thing. There is tremendous cultural value in having a unified language that everybody speaks. And shout outs to Spanish. I think a great language, great people and everything. But if you want to have a powerful nation state, everybody should speak the same language, and it should be institutionalized so that like we shouldn't have Spanish language speaking schools and so forth. You're not going to get everybody to be bilingual. We're getting closer, right? It's working there, but it's still far less efficient to have two different languages. Just be like it's less efficient to have two different measurement systems, right? We should have been on metric in like 1920. Immediately that shit needs to happen. All this imperial bullshit out the fucking window. Bite the bullet. We're gonna have to learn to use the metric system. It's gotta fucking be out there. And I mean, these are mostly like mechanical solutions, and I like, and it's not like people who are currently in politics don't know that all this shit needs to happen. All right, they wouldn't love to like swap over the metric system. It's just that they need to say things that will get them votes, and like saying, like, hey, we should probably have some standardization of our units, and we should have some standardization of our language, and there should be like a base level of competency to be enfranchised, so that people will opt in and feel proud about being part of it. And we could spend a lot less on the military if we just took all these fucking gun nuts and yahoos. They love this shit. They're creaming their jeans, volunteering to be police officers and volunteering to do all this other shit. Take that shit and monetize it, man. So all seekers of that was the Roman Empire. Slavery was step one of being a Roman citizen. And I'm not even talking about slavery. And I'm not talking about like a 7-year indentured servitude term, the way that we used to have it here. But if somebody spent 4 years, like when I was in the military, there were a lot of people who wanted to become citizens, and they were doing like a tour of duty, essentially to become citizens. And I'm a big fan of that. I think if you're willing to slog it out in the military for 4 years, you're a fucking citizen in my eyes. It'd be great if he spoke English. And a lot of this is like self-interest too. I'm too old to learn Spanish without an accent, and it would take me about a year to get fluent. And so it's easy for me to just say, hey, you know what? What if we just all talked English? So what do we have here? Yeah, we're Gen 1 of measurement tech, the measures and so forth. And like, yeah, like keep in mind that the citizenship test does already have, like, you have to understand how the United States government functions. You have to have a good grasp of our history. They're already tested on this. But it's not like the most effective screening and so forth. And I'm not saying like, just, we have like this huge resource of people who want to be here, of people who want to work and want to be a part of the thing that we're doing. And we can really just apply like a little bit of game theory. In the future, there are going to be so many people without jack shit to do. And we could really turn that around, right? There's so many cool things that we could be doing in terms of infrastructure, in terms of becoming like a more responsive thing, in terms of doing stuff like annexing Mexico, right? Mexico could fucking be ours. We could take Mexico and turn that shit around, right? Their country is just riddled with corruption. There's all these like beautiful people down there, a ton of resources and so forth. America should be so fucking awesome that nations like Canada and Mexico and Guatemala and so forth are just champing at the bit saying, I want to be a part of what the fuck they're doing. Like, this system that we've got is garbage, right? Because, I mean, everywhere you go, people are just like, yeah, they're just fucking us over. They're just taking our shit nonstop, you know? We don't have to be the place where everybody is taking your shit all the time and fucking you over, and obviously working out of self-interest, if we're willing to apply a little bit of ingenuity to the problem, keeping in mind that it's easy to say this shit. It's very difficult to change an entrenched system without stringing some people up. And I'm not advocating for the use of violence on my writing stream right here. Just a few of the things that have been running through my fucking head. So we need new power plants in each state. I'm a big fan. I'd love to see more federal dollars thrown into some of this thorium salt shit. I'm a big fan of nuclear power in general. I think it's fucking fantastic. And really, really, like, when you run the numbers, this shit is great. And you know, there are going to be some problemos. We got Fukushima and so forth, but the new designs of reactors are fucking amazing, right there. And people are like getting their panties wet for like solar and wind and so forth, but you can't fucking cut it with those types of power. And we're not too far off from really, really relatively safe and sustainable types of nuclear reactors. There's no reason to be doing any work with coal whatsoever. A lot of our fucking power plants right now are basically like fueled by natural gas and oil, and we could change that shit around if we felt like it, man. So energy independence is we got Bob here who wanted to contribute to the discourse by saying screw my ding dong hole. And keep it, like when we were talking earlier about requirements for enfranchisement and tests before you can vote and so forth. Here we have it. I mean, I think all of us have spent enough time on the internet that we realize that some of these people are fucking idiots and always will be. And that's okay, you know? And I'm happy to carry the burden for them. I just think that we should sterilize them. So then you get into like a even more sort of creepy and New World Order type part of my politics, which is that I literally think you should have to have a license to have a child. I think having a child is like much more extreme than driving a car in terms of its impact on everybody else. And I think you should have to have certain financial requirements in place. And I'm a big proponent of just aborting them children left and right. Zap those motherfuckers. So people are asking, have I ever tried VR pornography? No, I don't have a VR headset. I assume that it would just give me a headache. I'm like relatively sensitive to eye strain, and so I just haven't bothered to buy one yet. I'll wait a few generations, I guess. But what is it? Most of the pornography that I really get off to is story based. In any case, I don't really, like, my imagination's pretty good when I want to get off. So I really would much rather have a story associated with it than just look into somebody's gaping and quivering asshole. Just my thought. All right, so yeah, fun to talk a little bit of politics right here. But we do have to edit this fucking book. There's no way around it right there. It's such a hokey scene. And I think the story behind this was at the time I was dating this girl who was like very much younger than me, and just super smart, really fucking attractive, but also crazy as fuck. And Chevy Silverado 1500, 2020, or F-150. I'm a big believer in the Dodge Ram 3500 extended cab, but only because I did a show once where I was what was the name of that DJ? I think it was DJ Ram 3500 extended cab, and it's just like our country and western show. But I don't really know jack shit about trucks. I mean, get the fucking Cybertruck if you want to be a real hillbilly. But yeah, I'm the worst person to ask about trucks. I just drive a motorcycle. That's all I got. Rap. Freya opened her eyes and froze. Mm-hmm. A face was peering in at her from outside of her window. How long does it take Freya to compute that she knows inherently that she's on? Well, she's not on the second floor, really. She's like on the sort of ground level. There's just like a big drop off on the side of the house there. So yeah, it's like 15 feet down to where she is. Yeah, like I've got the floor plan of their house pretty well sorted in my mind, but a face was peering in at her from outside of her window. Mm-hmm. I was 15 feet down to the ground. Hmm. Uh, no, it's not a question of plural versus possessive. I usually hang out in cafes like a lot more than pubs. One, because I don't drink a ton, just with other people. I drink alone. And two, I like writing in cafes in the morning. I think it's fucking super fun to be out there. You get to like pet dogs and hang out. It's really entertaining. I wish Load in his streams would wear different hats every stream. Well, the problem with a hat, and I do like hats, and I would love to have like a giant collection of hats, is that they throw a shadow over your face. And you know, like just how am I going to win FNet's #1 hair if I'm wearing a fucking hat all the time? That's the problemo there. So I noticed that I've had like a lot of fun talking with you people at 4 in the morning, but we haven't done any progress on this whatsoever. Freya opened her eyes and froze. Mm-hmm. I don't want her to open her eyes. Spasm is wrong. All right. God, what am I trying to do? I never need to. I never need to write like monster scenes any longer. What do we want? Stop. I want something like seized. Locked up as in possessed, assured, prohibit, put away, restrain. What? Are you seeing this advertisement that it's sending to me right here? Get a free home HIV home test kit. That's some real targeted advertising right there for yours truly. Actually, am pretty close to like 100% sure that at the moment I don't have HIV. So I'm pretty helpful. Pretty happy about that. Mm-hmm. Oh, so George Washington says that I should write a book about a dystopian urban present or future. I mean, I've written some dystopian urban presents and futures, like The Right to Bear Arms and Hawks at the Diner are like that. I have an idea for a near future political piece that I might get to when I'm done with this, but nothing will happen until we finish this. Yeah, like if I were Jewish, I would be a lot more successful, is what I always tell people. I would really be leveraging uh, that Judaism for all the because I think like the stories that I've written are definitely pretty solid. But I lacked like the marketing to make a thing of it right there. So shout outs to them folks. They do a great job of promoting their own. But let me see there. Freya opened her eyes at the sound and froze. Outside of her bedroom window, a face was peering in at her. Out loud. The face was outlined in starlight, peering in at her. Zach Zeisstein. Yeah, I don't know if children are in my future, to tell you the truth. I've really been thinking about it. I'm at the age where I would have to like meet somebody new and fall in love with them and marry them within the next 2 to 3 years to really start having children. And I don't know that that's in the cards. Like definitely the person that I'm seeing now, I don't think that she wants to have children ever. And it totally respectable decision. And I think if we look at it realistically, I'm probably like much too selfish to have children. It's not like I would abandon them or anything like that. That's a rough deal for a kid to have somebody who is uh, so kind of so me as their parent. Good God, yeah, I wouldn't wish that on myself. And also, I'm fucking broke. You know, you shouldn't really. I don't think you should have children if you're fucking broke. Like I don't want other people to have to pick up my slack. Making a movie is based on getting companies to pay you to have their products in film during production. It's visual product marketing. Okay. Well, yeah, I'll have to fucking shill for MacBooks or something like that. I don't know what I'm gonna do here. Um, mm-hmm. It was a 15-foot drop to the ground on the east side of the house. So just FYI, like if you have ever taken a massive fucking overdose of Benadryl, you might have seen these very same shadow people with that like slash of gleaming white teeth and all their features totally black. But yeah, I have seen the shadow people. Uh-huh. The black face smiled at Freya. A smat. Mm-hmm. Mm. 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 Whew. Mm. Mm-hmm. Pinning her to the bed. Let me see. Does she care enough to think about the actual star ball during? I don't think we have time for that. Yeah, wow. We've literally for an hour been trying to get through 2 paragraphs, and part of it was just like me dicking around because it's a difficult chapter, and I like blogging about politics. But yeah, this was a shitty chapter, and we need to rewrite it. But I've got my teeth into it now. You know, we're kind of like nipping at the edges of this thing, and I feel like now I'm in a spot where I can fix it. She realized she was paralyzed. A weight. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah, it's zachzyz.com. And so, like, all my books are fucking available for free there. So some of them are highly political. If you want to read something that's kind of like a mind fuck about AI and politics in the future, you could read Hawks at the Diner. And that's really short. It's only like 40 pages long. Mm-hmm. The shade pecked at her window with a long, tapering finger as she suffocated. A bolt of alarm. The shade pecked at her window with a long, tapering finger as she suffocated. A bolt of alarm shot through her. Like someone was trying to jumpstart her, but the engine would not turn. The monster's eyes swelled with interest. They were like spreading oil slicks, shimmering with surface interference. Shadows spilled from them, polluting the walls of her room. They danced to the beat of the finger. With every tap, the walls shuddered and skittered, as if they'd been overrun with masses of spider. All right, that's a little much. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you want to buy one, you can just search for Zach ZYZ on Amazon. You can just look at the name at the very top of this thing. Oh, look, I'm covered by chats. Um, but yeah, like the monster's dark eyes swelled with interest. They were like spreading oil slicks, shimmering with surface interference. Shadows spilled from them, polluting the walls of her room, and they danced to the beat of the. With every tap, The walls shuddered and skittered as if they'd been overrun by masses of spiders. Get the gun. The thought cut through her paralysis. Freya groped in the darkness. Her movements were uncoordinated and infantile, knocking things off of their nightstand. Freya groped in the darkness, movements uncoordinated and infantile, knocking things off of her nightstand. Her fingers thrashed, but they were too weak to close on the grip. Death's smile widened. The rapping grew louder. Soon the glass would shatter. Rap, rap, rap. She clenched her hand with all her might, and a light was pouring from her fist, burning through the apparition. The oil-slick eyes grew hazy and indistinct. The white slash of a mouth spread into a howl, and there was nothing behind it. Like a ring of fire eating through paper, the white band spread through the shadow until it was gone. Freya gasped at the air like she'd been punched in the stomach, ragged and wheezing. The angry rapping out her window continued, and when her eyes could focus, they locked on the finger. It was the butt of a rake tapping at her window. Someone outside was trying to wake her up. She didn't dare get up to see who it was. Her heart was beating so hard, her chest hurt. She was mired in the lacuna of sleep and wake. She wanted them to go away, wanted to convince herself it had only been a dream. Okay, let's go back through this entire fucking thing, because we're starting to make a path. That was a really ham-fisted chapter to start off with, and it's not much better yet. So we still need to put a little bit of work into that right there. I think like our big problem is that this is a huge diversion from the rest of the book, which has been like largely hard science fiction, and then we start like skewing into like this kind of horror fantasy weirdness here, and I think it's going to shuck readers right off. So let's try this one more from the top. All right, chapter 61. Rap, rap, rap. Freya opened her eyes at the sound and froze. Outside of her bedroom window, a face was outlined in starlight, peering in at her. There was an instant of total confusion. It was a 15-foot drop to the ground on the east side of the house. No one should be there. The black face smiled at Freya, splitting the darkness with a slash of gleaming white teeth. She realized she was paralyzed. A weight was... So I want to say, like, now we can't say it's a boulder. Mm-hmm. It was a scream frozen in her chest she could not expel. The black face smiled at Freya, splitting the darkness with a slash of gleaming white teeth. She realized she was paralyzed. A heavy weight was pinning her against the bed. There was a scream frozen in her chest she could not expel. So we do want the like idea of like this. So like what's happening to her here is sleep paralysis, right? Combined with a hallucination. And one of the, like, I don't know if you've ever had sleep paralysis, but it really is like a crushing fucking weight pinning you down against it. It's exactly like that. Like like nothing moves and you can't do anything. No. heavy weight pinned her. She wanted to run, but she was paralyzed. No, yeah, wanted to run. Yeah, so like there. Hmm. Da, da, da. Howl, roar, shriek. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. There was a shriek, frozen. Okay, so let's try that again. There was an instant of total confusion. It was a 15-foot drop to the ground on the east side of the house. No one should be out there. The black face smiled at Freya, splitting the darkness with a slash of gleaming white teeth. She wanted to scream and run away, but she was paralyzed. A crushing weight pinned her against the bed. Mm-hmm. She couldn't scream, couldn't run away. Ooh, you know what I want to do here? Mm-hmm. I want it to be like a body that's like crushing her against the bed. There we go. There was a scream frozen in her chest. She tried to flee, but the crushing weight yeah, that's not good. This is really hard to write. Holy fuck. That's why I don't do horror, boys. Fuck me. Ah. Mm-hmm. There was a body on top of her, a crushing weight pinning her against the bed. There we go. That's so much better. And like, then you shade a little bit into, which is not a part of this scene, but like as a young woman, the idea of a body on top of you, like out of nowhere, that's not chill. Oh, that's creepy. Um, she tried to scream, but the sound was frozen in her chest. She could, and we do freeze to freeze. Freya opened her eyes at the sound and froze. Outside of her window, a face was outside of her bedroom window. Oh. Hmm. Freya opened her eyes at the sound. It was too dark to see. She stared and... Freya strained her eyes in the direction of the sound. It was too dark to see. Freya opened her eyes and strained them in the direction of the sound. It was too... So I think strain doesn't really work as a verb there. Oh, God. Oh, this fucking chapter, man. Freya opened her eyes at the sound, trying to make it out, but it was too dark to see. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're lying in bed, right? Open your eyes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Freya's eyes parted and she stared in the direction of the sound. Mm-hmm. Freya's eyes parted. The sound was coming from her window, but it was too dark to see. She strained against the darkness and then froze. Okay, that's better. Rap, rap, rap. Freya's eyes parted. The sound was coming from her window, but it was too dark to see. It wouldn't be dawn for hours. God, love, 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 love. Just like the slow, inexorable progress of chipping away at this bullshit to find a skeleton underneath that's actually decent. Hell yeah. Yahoo linked information for 3 billion users. God, that's ridiculous. All right, so that's better. Freya's eyes parted. The sound was coming from her window, but it was too dark to see. Dawn was hours away. She strained against the darkness and then froze. So then there's like a jolt of recognition going through her, but she's actually asleep at this moment, imagining this. So it can't be like enough that she fucking, well, you know what I mean? The sound was coming from her window, but it was too dark to see. Dawn was hours away. She strained against the darkness. And froze. Outside her bedroom window was a face outlined in starlight, peering in at her. Outside her bedroom window, a face was outlined in starlight, peering in at her. There was an instant of total confusion. It was a 15-foot drop to the ground on the east side of the house. No one should be out there. The black face smiled at Freya, splitting the darkness with a slash of gleaming white teeth. She tried to scream, but the sound was frozen in her chest. She could not expel it. There was a body on top of her, a crushing weight pinning her against her bed. Against the bed. The shade pecked at Freya's window with a long, tapering finger as she suffocated. How effective is that metaphor? I like the idea of trying to jumpstart an engine that just won't turn, but I don't know how effective that is. Oh, coffee. I wish there was more of you. Yeah, maybe I should, before I spend like a shit ton of money on cold brew, maybe I should just try brewing coffee. Because like, yeah, just having like a big hot pot of coffee would keep me. Yeah, let me try that. I'm gonna give that a shot before I spend $1,000 on cold brew. That's pretty ridiculous. The shade pecked at Freya's window with a long, tapering finger as she suffocated. Mm-hmm. Freya was suffocating. The shade grinned wider and pecked at her window with a long, tapering finger. A useless jolt ran through her arms and legs. Her brain was trying to jumpstart her, but the engine would not turn. Mm-hmm. 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 I think we can just name it Death right here. Death's eyes swelled with interest. Death's eyes swelled with interest. They were like spreading oil slicks, shimmering with surface interference. Shadows spilled from them, polluting the walls of her room, and they danced to the beat of his finger. And so I don't... Hmm. Hmm. Colors were creeping in at the edges of her vision. So it would be interesting to tie this into the other time that she almost drowned in the river there. Yeah, in fact, let's. I want to go back and add that in. So what are we at? We're at page 440, and Command Control Shift G. I think no. Command Shift G. Command Shift G. That's not it. Command Control G. There we go. Command Control G. So 440. Let's go to page 1, and then let's look for drowning. Nearly drowning. Okay, cool. So here, what happens when she... Uh, let's see. She couldn't tell what... Blobs of orange and red were flashing at the edges of her vision. Cool, cool. Her lungs were burning and blobs of... Yeah, there we go. Everything was black and freezing. She couldn't tell which way it was up. Let me see. I think burning is kind of a little cliche. Her lungs. There was no air. Her chest burned with alarm, and blobs of orange and red were flashing at the edge of her vision. Okay. So yeah, by the way, there's no air underwater. There was no air. Her chest burned with alarm, and blobs of orange and red were flashing at the edges of her vision. Okay, I like that. So then we can go to Command Control G to page 440. That's much faster than, oh, cool. Shout out to Spethiwa, who was the one that told me that Command Control G could do that. It was indeed Spethiwa. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Whew. It was heat lightning flash. So maybe something about how she's paralyzed here. Oh shit! I forgot to take one of these Nio Jones. I got like 10 of these left. I don't know if I'm gonna get more of this shit. Really and truly. We'll have to find out. I do seem to have more energy later in the day. The colors of drowning. Okay. Mm-hmm. The shadows in her room were pulsing to the beat of the finger against her window. With every tap, the walls shuddered and skittered, like they'd been overrun by masses of spiders. This is like a real flaky paragraph right here. This whole, honestly, we should. I wonder if we should just cut this page and just try to, uh, well, whatever. We're in it now. If we decide to cut it, let's do it after we give our best effort to make it work. Get the gun. The thought cut through her paralysis, so this should be italicized. The thought cut through her paralysis. Freya groped in the darkness, hands uncoordinated wait, yeah, we don't need that. Death's smile widened. The rapping grew louder. Soon the glass would shatter. Rap, rap, rap. Needs comma after darkness. Splitting the darkness. That's the only darkness I see. Oh, yeah, that's where it is. Yeah. Freya found the orb. Her fist closed around the star ball, and she squeezed with all of her might, feeling its heat flaring against her palm. Light began to pour from between her fingertips. Fucking dreams. Just don't write dreams into your books. You could be spared all of this bullshit if you just didn't have dreams in your book. You should never never write dream sequences. Is the moral of this story. God. Killing me here. But I did not take my own advice, and now here we are. The oil-slick eyes grew hazy and indistinct. The white slash of a mouth spread into a howl, and there was nothing behind it. Like a ring of fire eating through paper, the white band spread through the shadow until it was gone. Okay, let's yeah. Freya gasped for air like she'd been punched in the stomach. Huh. The angry rapping at her window continued, and when her eyes could focus, they locked on the finger. It was the butt end of a rake, tapping on her window. Someone outside was trying to wake her up. Uh, it was a rake tapping on our window. It was the sight of a rake tapping on our window. Someone outside was trying to wake her up. Ooh. She didn't dare get up to see who it was. Her heart was beating so hard her chest hurt, and she was mired in the lacuna of sleep and wake. She only wanted them to go away. Go away, she willed, trying to remain perfectly still. The tapping continued. There was something in her hand. Just delete this whole fucking paragraph right here. Freya woke up and gasped for air like she'd been punched in the stomach. The starball was in her hand. She needed the gun, but it was in the ottoman in the living room. She wondered if she could get out of the room without the person below seeing her. The rake continued at its assault. Whoever it was really wanted Freya's attention. Is it daylight? Yeah. Yeah, let's have it still be dark below. No, I think it does have to be the butt of a rake. Would she already be wearing clothes? Yeah. We don't need to do the covering her chest with her forearm or whatever. Mm-hmm. Who was out there? She felt certain she would sense if it was Dan. Lassa didn't need a rake. She would have just barged right into the room. With a flash of anger, she wondered if it was Malcolm Lewis. If it was, she was going to get the gun and call 911. The insistent tapping continued, and finally she found the courage to look. Lynn Harris stood below, holding the rake by its tines. She looked very upset. "Freya, wake up! Let me in!" Lynn shouted from below. Her voice was muffled by the triple-pane glass. For a moment, Freya could only stare down stupidly into the yard. Oh, this chapter. What have I fucking done? Oh. Malcolm or Dan taking bets. It was actually Lynn Harris, believe it or not. For a moment. "Okay, come around front," Freya shouted back when she got her bearings. What the hell was Lynn doing down there? Could this be some kind of trick? "Okay, come around front," Freya shouted back when she got her bearings. What the hell was going down there? How had she slept through that? The little orange tab showed the phone had been flicked to silent. She didn't remember doing that, but sometimes it got nudged by accident. No dreams. Freya put the star ball in the corner of her nightstand drawer. There was no time to hide it better. She threw on sweatpants and thumbed through her phone. Most of the calls were from Lynn, but there were 2 calls from Silas Police Department. Something terrible must have happened. She had an insane thought that the police were calling her to tell her it had all been a lie, that Randall was somehow alive. She shut her eyes and clenched her jaw, forcing the thought away. For months after he died, false hopes sprang up from every corner, stinging like wasps, no matter how impossible they were. Mm-hmm. Freya peered out the side window into the driveway. Okay. Freya rushed across the living room and peered out the side window into the driveway, afraid she'd see a swarm of police cars. She was afraid there would be a swarm of police cars outside, but it was only Lynn's cream-colored Mercedes with the gold trim. Yeah, we don't need a description of the car. The attorney was standing on the walkway, tugging impatiently at the hem of her coat. Lynn, I'm so sorry, my phone was muted. Freya apologized the moment she opened the door. I was about to call 911, Lynn griped. Her face was drawn with annoyance. She hurried inside, bustling towards the dining room table without taking off her coat or gloves. How long had she been out there? For a while, Lynn would only huddle at the table with her shoulders hunched. Must have been a while. Is there coffee? She asked pointedly. Freya shook her head no. Could you make some? Lynn continued, a note of exasperation in her voice as if she shouldn't have to ask. Freya felt a twinge of defiance. She wasn't Lynn's secretary. Lynn could go fuck herself. But this wasn't the time to be difficult. She swallowed the feeling and began to make a pot of coffee. Yeah, we wouldn't have this exchange. Lynn gave her a searching look, like she thought Freya already ought to know. Lassa's in a lot of trouble. The police came by. Why didn't you answer the door? I was asleep. I didn't hear them. There's that look again. Lynn didn't believe her at all. Freya's irritation was starting to burn through her confusion. She noticed there were streaks of dirt on Lynn's coat and pants. What happened to you? Freya asked, pointing to the marks. Oh, God damn it. I had to climb a tree to see into your room. I rang the doorbell about 100 times. Were you sedated? What? No, Freya shook her head. She couldn't picture Lynn Harris shimmying up a tree to peep at her, but clearly she had. Freya had an uncomfortable suspicion Lynn had seen her naked. She felt her cheeks getting hot and shook her head. There was nothing to be done if she had. She just stared at Lynn, wishing she would get to the point. The police are looking for Lassa, Lynn said, pausing and looking at Freya. Oh, shit. Did she go after Malcolm? Freya asked. Too late she realized it was a trick. Lynn had wanted her to fill in the blanks on what she thought Lassa was in trouble for. It was a slimy tactic, and Freya narrowed her eyes. I don't know what, a DUI? She guessed. Lynn shook her head and Freya snapped. Could you just fucking tell me? Now it was Lynn's turn to narrow her eyes. Okay. What did I want to... Okay. So she is naked when she's sleeping. Yeah, set to brew. Oh, I was supposed to delete that. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Let's just make her like so cold that she can't function until she gets some coffee. Mhm. Mhm. Okay, cool. Set to brew. So one thing that I think is clear, we need to specify what time it is. There's 4:30 a.m. Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, I think that's an improvement. I do like having the note of there. Now it was Lynn's turn to glare. Freya had never bitten back before. Hidden Kernu thinks your mother may have been involved in some kind of espionage. They haven't pressed charges yet, but they will soon if she stays missing. They filed a missing persons report. I got a call about this at 2 a.m. Espionage? Freya gave her an incredulous look. It had to be a joke, but it clearly wasn't. What did she do? They're not telling me anything yet, but this is about to be a huge problem. I need to know if you know anything about this. They're not telling me yet, but this is about to be a huge problem. They're not telling me anything yet. I need to know. Anything. Tell me everything you know about this. Anything you say to me can't be used against your mother. Oh, yeah. They're not telling me anything yet, but this is about to be a huge problem. Whatever you say to me. They're not telling me anything yet. They're not telling me yet. They're not telling me yet. This is about to be a huge problem. Do you know anything about this? Anything at all? Whatever you say to me can't be used against your mother. Freya shook her head emphatically. I honestly have no idea, I swear. Apparently this has been going on for a while. It stopped during her disappearance and started again when she returned. They were planning to confront her yesterday, but she didn't show up to work. Do you know why? No, I don't. She didn't tell me she was planning. No, she didn't tell me she was planning to skip work. The police were here the night before. Did she tell you about the spray painting? She sent me an email about it. She didn't give any indication anything else was going on. Was she acting strangely? She's always acting strangely, Freya said. It sounded a bit like she was trying to be funny, but she wasn't. I guess she seemed sad, but she didn't give any sign she was planning to take off again. They haven't told you anything about what she did? They aren't saying yet. This is all conjecture, but I talked with one of their lawyers, and she seemed very concerned about Lassa's mental state. This is all conjecture. Oh, yeah. Their lawyer seemed very concerned about Lassa's mental state. I think whatever she did, it doesn't really make sense to them. Freya knew at once. She winced and Lynn didn't mess it. She could hear her pulse thudding in her ears, the muscles of her neck tensing. It was the starball. This was all her fault. Lynn kept talking, but the words were a vast distance from Freya. They reached her as a meaningless echo. She could faintly taste river water, and she began to tremble. Finally, Lynn shut up and stared with mounting concern. She reached out for Freya's shoulder, and without thinking, Freya swept the hand away, as if they were in Krav Maga class. Lynn drew back from her, shocked. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that, Freya apologized. It's okay, Lynn said, but clearly her feelings were hurt. She couldn't brush it off the way Lassa could. We do that drill all the time in class. I just wasn't thinking, Freya pressed on, trying to explain, but they were just words. Freya pressed on, trying to explain, but they were just words. They couldn't outweigh slapping someone's arm away. For a few awkward moments, they were standing there, while Freya grappled for some reasonable explanation. We don't know what it is, or what it's doing, Dan had warned her. No. Oh, we can't use italics there, and we really should. Whew. Tough chapter, boys. So when did we start? We started this at 4:30, and now it's 7 a.m. So we've been going at this for like 2.5 hours, trying to fucking sort this. We probably started like closer to 5 a.m. Whew. Oh, whatever. I'm going to get this chapter done today. She'd been such a fool, and now Lassa would pay the price. Lynn Harris was giving Freya a look as if she was just as crazy. Lynn Harris was looking at Freya as if she were just as crazy as Lassa. Freya couldn't blame her. Her head was swimming with all the things that had happened, trying to figure out how to explain this. Dan had no choice but to believe her. He'd been her. An outsider couldn't possibly understand. Had Lassa handled the starball some night while Freya was asleep and gotten jabbed too? Had Lassa handled the starball? Did she get jabbed too? Freya thought about the dot of blood on her palm, the empty cans of Ensure, the whiteboards at school, and then she remembered the day Lassa had taken her computer away. I just thought of something, Freya said. Her mind was bounding ahead almost too fast for her mouth to keep up. What is it? Lynn demanded. There was something wrong with our home internet a couple weeks ago. Oh yeah, we do need to get that precise timeline down. I'm gonna have to try and do that at work. 15-second lag today. Put that flashback on its own line. Which flashback are we talking about? Oh yeah, yeah, that definitely. And in fact, this should be italicized here. And we can italicize for emphasis. Cool. There's something wrong with our internet. There's something wrong with our internet a couple weeks ago. Our line was maxed out. Lassa thought someone hacked our Wi-Fi to torrent stuff. She changed the password and ran a virus scan on all of our computers. That must be related to this. Lynn's face brightened immediately. Also, the thing Dan said about not knowing. Yep, that should be there. Oh, so here we have to take that out. Because we added that shit about how we just made her like more technical earlier. Let's just check this out. Maybe they got into Hidden Kernu through her VPN, Freya offered. I'll check with the company. Hopefully there'll be some kind of record. Lassa called the internet company about it. Lassa called our ISP about it. They should have a record of her complaint. They were trying to charge us $300 for exceeding our data quota. Shoutouts to in the year 2029 still having data quotas in Maine. She made them drop it. I could hear her arguing with them for half an hour. BlackBerry. That definitely. Lynn had her phone out. She was tapping rapidly. That's fantastic. That might save us. I still don't know where she is. Was she drinking? Not that I know of. She's been a little better since she came back, but only a little. Freya was surprised to see concern in Lynn's eyes. She couldn't reconcile it with... Freya was surprised to see concern in Lynn's eyes. It was hard to reconcile with her image of Lynn Harris, shark attorney. Now Freya remembered Lynn's eyes. Lynn had her phablet out. She was swiping rapidly. Oh, God. Ah. That's so awful. Ugh. So who did she meet with there? Freya was surprised to see concern in Lynn's eyes. Freya was surprised to see concern on Lynn's face. It was hard to reconcile with her image of Lynn Harris, the shark attorney. Yeah, Child Protective Service. Oh, shit. It's Marcus Summers, Gray Block Pizza Hitter, right there in the flesh. Shout out to everybody joining early in the morning, the day after Dr. King's Day. We're out here. All right, what do we got here? Freya was surprised to see concern on Lynn's face. It was hard to reconcile with her image of Lynn Harris, shark attorney. Freya remembered the day. The day they'd met with the women from Child Services, Lynn's eyes had quested towards the bedroom, and Lynn and Lassa had frowned with disapproval. Freya put it together. Lynn cared about Lassa, but to Lassa, Lynn was just a diversion. Red shift. Shit, they're gonna want my phone, aren't they? Definitely. Don't delete anything. I'm going to call Hidden Kernu and tell them what you told me. This is all about to be a big mess. With a sinking feeling, Freya remembered the concert. Even if Dan didn't want to go with her, it would really hurt Mr. Mathis if she didn't come. I have to go to a concert tonight at 5:30, Freya said, aware as she said it how cold she must sound. Lynn gave her an incredulous look. Freya, this is very serious. I know, but it's really important, Freya stressed. Mr. Mathis is playing, and I told him I would go. I have to. Lynn shook her head. Lynn shook her head, and Freya stared back. Neither would budge. She saw Lynn's face contort. She was clearly holding back things she wanted to say. No charges have been filed yet. If the situation doesn't evolve and we're cooperating, I can't see this taking long unless she did something really crazy. Probably if she had, we would already be talking to the CIA. What? Freya blinked in astonishment. They're the ones who... Okay, so what do we got here? Mm-hmm. It's just in Bangor. I'll be back later tonight. What happens now? No charges have been filed yet. If the situation doesn't evolve and we're cooperating... What? What? Are you joking? I'm not. They're the ones who investigate international espionage, Lynn said. That's all right. Hold up. It might be about to get real fucking real here. Check this dog. Okay. So nobody I give a shit about is on fire. So that's good. Praise Allah for small miracles, I guess. All right, hold up. Somebody's summoning me on IRC. Oh, it's just Freenode. I don't give a shit about Freenode. I have to let Dan know. He's supposed to go to the concert with me. She needed to eat something. I have to let Dan know. He's supposed to go to the concert with me tonight. I don't think that's wise, Lynn cautioned. Well, I'm doing it. I'm not going to stand him up. Well, I'm doing it. I'm not going to stand him up. Freya took out her phone. She was ready for Lynn to try and take it away from her, but Lynn only sighed. She had accepted the situation. I won't tell him anything specific, okay? Freya promised. Wait, should I give him your number in case they take my phone? They might ask for my phone, too. I could be in trouble with the bar if... They might ask for my phone, too. If the police get involved, I could be in trouble with the bar. Lynn blurted... Lynn blurted the last part. It had just occurred to her. At once she realized she'd slipped up and seemed to... Sorry, but I must interject. International espionage investigations on U.S. soil are performed almost exclusively by FBI, Homeland, NSA, or Secret Service. Not true. The reason why that's not true in this case is because LASA is a foreign national. So when it deals with a foreign national, that's when the CIA gets involved. I actually ran this one by a CIA agent to just make sure that we were doing the right thing. But yeah. In the case where Lassa is a foreign national, which she is, I think she has dual citizenship in this. But because she's originally a foreign national, they involve the CIA. So especially because I think in this case, the way that the server routing deals with like a lot of international shit. So I'm on top of it. Fret not. Actually, I thought about toning down some of the CIA stuff in this because I think it's like a little bit of a reach. But that's one where we may work on it. I already know about you too, Freya said. It's no big deal. A little color. So, shout outs to Jano Panda, who says hi. Welcome to the stream. Did you say CIA? The CIA never refers to themselves as CIA, but State Department employees, or very rarely, company employees. God damn, there's so much mysticism surrounding the CIA. They're just fucking paper pushing nerds. I'm just putting it out there. These are the most boring people ever. Ugh. Freya moved, did you? No, this is a weird aside. Except the operations people who are like awful wannabe tradecraft bureaucrats playing all kinds of weird political games. Uh, and sort of a cousin of what you said about people that seek political power being the least deserving. Oh my God, there's nothing worse than an enthusiastic bureaucrat. Ugh. Oh, we need a fucking, like an insecticide for these people. Ugh. You know, I try to believe that most people are good people, but people in the government are not good people. It's like a magnet that attracts all the worst fucking law, the government, marketing, sales. Those four things right there. If all and probably bankers, right? Finance, law, the government, sales. And when I say government, I mean I'm not talking about like policemen and firefighters and people who actually do shit, but definitely their upper management. If all those people vanished off of the face of the fucking earth tomorrow, I think we would still be okay. Just putting it out there. Good God. I mean, there'd be like a little upheaval to start off with, but yeah, not good people. Mm. And like staff to man, personal and division level jobs in the military and PHP programmers, yeah, they can all fucking go. You know what I mean? Let's just ship them all to Australia and wait for the next brush fire season. Let's sacrifice all these people for climate change. Yeah, I guess I would survive in that. Like most of what I do is like actual hands-on, functional, useful work every day. Like I do something valuable. Like I'm not sure I would make the cut if we like needed to like winnow the world down to like a billion people. Yeah, you should really think about. It's kind of like an interesting thought exercise. If we start making cuts to the world's population, at what point are you indispensable? Like maybe I'd make the cut at 1 billion people, but I probably wouldn't make the cut at 500 million, and certainly not at 100 million. And there's definitely people in this world who would make that cut at 100 fucking people. Like if we only had 100 people to repopulate the species, and incest wasn't like a huge factor. Uh, there are some people on this earth that would make that cut. Like they're in the top 100 people, and then there are many people who are in that bottom billion in terms of usefulness to our species. I'm definitely willing to sacrifice every single PHP programmer on the altar of climate change. I'll sacrifice to keep ourselves to keep Dark Mage in the gene pool. Oh, need to put Dark Mage in a pool of mutagen to unmutate him into a real human boy. So I thought about this before. You asked for people that agree that 50-50 should die or take volunteers. And then the people who agree with the 50-50 and the volunteers make the cut because all the sci-fi jack-offs that are like, no way, shouldn't make the cut. I don't know. I mean, when you think about it too, it's not a black and white problem because there are a lot of people who are critical and essential to the furtherment of our species that are like very selfish and very arrogant because people who are sort of supremely effective in their particular field tend to be quite arrogant and selfish and would like rightly say like, hey, I'm fucking necessary. There aren't too many people who understand like the Einstein-Rosen bridge, and you need like me as your ace theoretical physicist, or like I'm the best cocksucker that has ever sucked cock in all the millennia of cocks being sucked. Like that person needs to stay. They're invaluable. So we'll have to think about it there. So Spaethiwa proposed that people who vote for culling should be culled. I think if you're going to vote for culling, you need to recognize that you will most likely be culled. I'm just putting it out there. We need problem solvers, not solutions. Tildet to stratum or the other Marxist. I like that we're getting into culling the population. This is fucking amazing right there. I'm glad about it. This has been like a pretty crazy stream. Yeah, normally we don't get all into like politics and so forth, but science fiction is inherently political. So you should always be willing to engage IMO if you're a science fiction writer. Did I show you guys that there was an article in Clark's World recently? I haven't read this story, but they're pulling it. It's a story entitled "I Sexually Identify as an Attack Helicopter," and I think it was meant to be anti the attack helicopter meme, but a bunch of trans people in publishing got all fucking got their you can't even say the word trans without being like, how they gonna get me? But yeah, they got all fucking bent out of shape about it, and the Clarkesworld was forced to issue a retraction of the story, and the person who wrote the story has apologized, and they're donating the money that they made from the story onto some kind of trans rights issue because people got upset on Twitter or whatever. Fucking. And Neil Clark, who runs Clark's World, he just recently got out of the hospital. He doesn't need this bullshit. Like they had to tinker with his pacemaker or something like that. And he's just like, yeah, we shouldn't have fucking published this story because like the writer is like a relatively young writer, and they just could not deal with the Twitter backlash at all. Did I just say blacklash? Oh, I love that. The sound of that word is amazing. Like maybe that should be a word for when Black Twitter gets mad at you. But I don't think it was Black Twitter. I think it was trans Twitter, and that's a whole different set of individual. Well, I mean, I'm sure there's some crossover, but yeah, like part of me is like, oh, why couldn't that be happening to me? Because God, can you imagine how happy I would be to get all these fucking people mad at me? But I don't write those kind of stories. You know, I find that kind of shit pretty boring, to tell you the truth. I don't really care much about like to me, trans issues are pretty much settled. You know, it's just, I mean, they're interesting to look at from a science fiction perspective, but like socially, I don't find it super interesting. There's just not like a lot of trans people, and like so much ink gets spent on them. I'm done. A CNN commentator used white lash to describe the Trump victory. That sounds like a hair metal band from the late 80s. White lash. Yeah, it's like so Spathy was like, I don't even want to talk about it. Yeah, we're all fucking tired of this shit. You know, what a waste of everybody's time. You know, I don't give a fuck whether you have a dick or not. The end. You know, if you're not gonna fuck me, it doesn't matter. And even if you are gonna fuck me, it really doesn't matter. So, but yeah, just we're gonna have a period where everybody on the internet is gonna have to toughen up a fucking lot and just get used to the fact that there's like a continual outrage cycle, and just be able to tell these people we just don't fucking care what you think, and it's gonna take some time. But it would be funny if the selectors were extremely woke and the top 100 people selected to repopulate the Earth were all XY chromosomes of various genders. uh, so Logic says that one of the problems is that now that trans issue has been ID'd as a loophole, the exploiters have arrived on the scene to shoehorn in their bullshit. I know, but let's focus on our story, I guess, and not give these people more of our time and energy. Understood. Just let me talk to Dan. Wait, shit, it's Saturday morning. He'll be at work. Where does he work? At 7/7. I can drive you to him and you can tell him in person. It's better not to have a call on record. We can get something to eat, too. That's a really good idea. I should text him first and make sure it's cool if we show up at his work. I'm not exactly sure where the two of us stand right now. It felt weird to share so much with Lynn, and Freya remembered the strange exchange with her sister at the library. Surely the two of them had talked about it. That's fine. Would you show me the text before you send it, please? Freya wanted to refuse, but she couldn't think of a reason. She spent a long time agonizing over her wording as Lynn was tapping on her own phone. It should be capitalized. That's 7/7. At the diner, 7/7. Oh yeah, she wouldn't say the diner. Mm-hmm. How about if I drive you over there and you talk with him in person? I think it's better not to have calls on the record. I'd like to keep our calls to a minimum until we figure this out, Lynn suggested. We can probably get something to eat, too. That's a really good idea. I should text him first and make sure it's cool if we show up at his work, though. I'm not exactly sure where the two of us stand right now. It felt weird to share so much with Lynn, and Freya remembered the strange exchange with her sister at the library. Surely the two of them had talked about it. That's fine. Would you show me the text before you send it, please? Lynn asked. Freya wanted to refuse, but she couldn't think of a reason. She spent a long time agonizing over the wording of her text. As Lynn was tapping on her own phone. Good morning, Dan. Is it cool if I come to the diner with my mom's lawyer? Totally okay if you'd prefer we go somewhere else. Looks good, Lynn said. It doesn't seem too cringe? Lynn shook her head. It's very thoughtful of you to check. I wish everyone was that polite. It was clear who she was talking about. It was clear who Lynn meant. Freya inhaled. Freya took a deep breath before she pressed send, and with each second that passed, she felt more and more that it was a stupid thing to do. She was steeling herself for the response. She imagined the words that would destroy her completely appearing on the screen. Dan, don't come. For long minutes there was no reply. For long minutes there was no reply, and she felt so hopeless and helpless that she was surprised the starball didn't start trying to calm her down. So right now the starball is in her... Ugh. It's in her bedside drawer. Was it running out of power? Well, hmm. Let's see. Was it running out of power? Maybe it was abandoning her. Her phone buzzed against the tabletop, and she took an expectant breath. She might be about to be hurt very badly. Dan, no problem at all. I'd love to see you. Should I have them start butchering a cow? Steak. Freya shut her eyes and let the breath out slowly. Her shoulders shuddered slightly. She was just so relieved. Her shoulders trembled a little. She was just so relieved. She was so relieved. Lynn smiled at her over her phone. Freya was afraid she would say something awkward, but she only gave a knowing nod and went back to her own phone. She hadn't forgotten what it was like. Haha, not today. I'll try not to distract you too much. Winking smiley face. Okay, so I don't think we italicize text consistently. Oh, Freya hadn't meant that. It did do something at the weird dream, because it was hot in her palm. Lynn smiled at her own phone. Freya was afraid she would say something awkward, but she only gave a knowing nod. She hadn't forgotten what this was like. Haha, not today. I'll try not to distract you too much. Winking smiley. Freya sat beaming at the screen. It had taken her almost a minute to decide which smiley to end with. Okay, let me shower and get dressed. 10 minutes, Freya said. She got ready quickly, and as she was preparing to leave, opened her nightstand drawer to stare at the starball. What the hell are you doing? She whispered. Italicize the last text message from Freya. No, so none of the text messages should be italicized. This one is italicized here. It shouldn't be italics. Yeah. There we go. Okay, and hopefully it's clear that this is just like her imagining the worst case scenario for the text. Mm-hmm. She really ought to seal it up in this shell before it could do any more damage. The hell are you doing? She whispered, and of course there was no reply. But there was no time now. She didn't like the idea of leaving it at home. What if the police searched the place while they were out? At last, she put it back in her pocket where it belonged and took out a phone to look at the text again. Love to see you. She shut her eyes and felt herself ascend. Hell yeah. Well, that's a fucking whirlwind of a chapter right there. God damn. Doing some heavy lifting on this one, boys. It's difficult as fuck. And I'm still not confident that this is a good chapter at the end of all of that. And it's an important one because like this is where everything is starting to pivot right here. So we went from page 440 all the way down to page 452. So we got about 12 pages edited today. That's pretty decent. If we had been going at that rate the entire time, we would be closer to like 600 pages of this done. So that's pretty decent. I went to sleep early and woke up at a pretty decent time, so life is good. Oh. Okay, so let's pause here. And thank you all for your help on this guy. I do think that chapter needs a little bit more work. And I think if we... So I think chapters fucking 58 through 62 in particular. What is this? 58 through 61? What do we have here? Yeah. All right, so I'm going to comment on that 6. 59 through... So I think chapters 59 through 61 could all use a second pass. But in general, like they're much improved from wherever. And those are really difficult chapters. So I'm a little loath to dive in and spend like an entire morning work on them. We're getting to the point where we can like push some of this off for the next edit as long as it's not functional. Like if I have time on my own today, I would really like to get in there and what do we call it? get in there and get the dates straight in this. Just have like a date on each chapter, and I think it's probably about 2 or 3 hours of work to just read through and get all the dates exact. But we're getting to a point where it would be important for like phases of the moon and all that whatnot. Okay. Well, it's been super fun. Thanks to everybody who hopped in. Like more people watching today than normal. Shout outs to Spethiwa, Logic, Stratum, the fucking OGs of the shit. Big Jordan O was up in here for a little bit there. And some new folks too. So thank you all. And I will see you tomorrow.